name's Pam Bateman. I'm from Open Sight Hampshire. We support people with sight loss across the county. Normally, in normal quote times, we would be doing what we call our equipment and information days. And unfortunately, we're not in normal times, although things are hopefully getting better. We hopefully will be running these information days again soon. But normally, what would happen at an information day? People would come along, and I'd have lots of different exhibitors and suppliers there. One of them being Humanware. But as we can't go to Humanware have come to us. So I'm joined by Sophia Iqbal. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. And she's from Humanware. She will be demonstrating the Explore 8, the iPal Solo, and the Reveal 16. So what she's going to do, she's going to do a quick demonstration of each item, and then we'll do a quick Q&A session. And we also, I think over that, I think I will just hand over to Sophia and let her over to you.
Thank you, Pam. And yes, you did say my name right. So good afternoon, everyone. So like Pam said, I'm Sophia from Humanware. I'm the local area representative. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through some of our low vision range. So first, I will start off by talking about our handheld electronic magnifiers, which is what you see here. And then I'll continue on to some of our larger products. Please, if you have any questions, if you need me to speak a bit louder, or you need me to adjust the camera, please let me know. And what I'll do then is I'll make a start. And like I said, please just fire away any questions that you have whilst I'm speaking. So the first product that I'll start off with is this one here. So this is the Explore 5, and this is our smallest handheld electronic magnifier. So the reason it's called the Explore 5, so the 5 comes from the size of the screen. So it comes with a 5-inch screen, and it's really simple and easy to use. And I'll demonstrate that for you now. So there's 2 ways to turn this on. The first way is to obviously press the on-off button at the top, or we also have the option to just pull out the handle. When we pull the handle out, 2 lights at the back come on to let us know that it's now been turned on. Now the purpose of these lights is to obviously enable us to see the document clearer wherever we're pointing this towards. So the idea is to open the handle and then to place this over our document, okay? So we would use it in this fashion if, for example, you were out and about in the supermarket, for example, and you just wanted to read a quick best before date, or you wanted to have a quick read of some ingredients. So it's very portable. It fits nicely in a woman's handbag, or just even maybe in a back pocket, or a nice big coat pocket or jacket pocket. So it's quite small, and it also does come with a pouch. Let me just show you the pouch. It comes in a pouch like this, so you can keep it protected as well. So the idea is, like I mentioned, we can either have it on the handle, or we can pop it into a stand form. So to turn it into a stand form, I just need to pull this bit out as opposed to pulling it out the other way. And what we would then do is we would just place this over our document. Bear with me. Okay. So the idea is we have the document in front of us. So please bear in mind, it would be quite tedious to read a book with this. So this is designed for smaller bits of reading. And that's things like prescription medication. Obviously the font on those is always small. So this would come in handy. And like I mentioned earlier, things like best before dates on milk, on bread, just things around the house that you need magnified. This is what it's great for. So we place the Explore 5 over our document. And then what we have the option to do is we then have the option to increase the magnification from here. So this This one increases up to 22 times. So I'll just demonstrate how you would increase the magnification. So on the right-hand side, we have a plus and a minus, and that's what we use to increase and decrease the magnification. So if I now press on the plus, I can now get this to a comfortable point for me to be able to read. Bear with me. Okay, I do apologize. The battery has just died on me. So what I'll do is I'll just keep talking you through the buttons, and it's okay because I can demonstrate what we can do on here on the larger one. I do apologize. So we have our contrast button on the left-hand side, and that is something that we would use if, for example, some people don't prefer color contrast, some people prefer a white on black or a black on white, for example, or even a yellow on black or a black on yellow. So on the left-hand side, we have our contrast button, and like I mentioned, on the right-hand side, we have our increase and decrease magnification buttons, and that's what we would use to just adjust the functions to a comfortable reading size and color for ourselves. So what I'll do is I will demonstrate how you would read, but I will demonstrate that on the slightly larger one. So when I say slightly larger, this is the Explore 8, and obviously the 8 comes from the fact that it is an 8-inch screen. So again, it's quite simple and easy to use. So we have the minus and the plus and a contrast button in the center. Now, the difference between the Explore 8 and the Explore 5 is the Explore 5 has a handle on the back, and the Explore 8 comes with just a stand. Now, the reason we don't have a handle on the back of this is because it would be too heavy to have on a handle. Okay, so again, we have the same principle applies. We can turn this on by just opening the stand. Okay, once we open up the stand, we now have the option to place this over our document again. So what I'm going to do is, just so you can see that clearer, I'm going to change the contrast now. So these are the same contrasts that we have on the Explore 5. So I'm going to go with, I think I'll go with white on black. Okay, so now I've changed my contrast to a comfortable contrast. I can now change the magnification. So to increase the magnification, I would just tap on the plus button. And this one actually magnifies up to 30 times, whereas the Explore 5 magnifies up to 22 times. Okay, so once we're at a comfortable reading size, the idea is, let me just get a little bit more text on the back of this document. So the idea is we leave the document in one place and we move the Explore 8 along the document as we are reading. So the clarity on the screen is perfect. Even with the Explore 5, a lot of the feedback that we've always had is the clarity is amazing. What helps the clarity is obviously the contrast and the quality of the screen. So we would, for the Explore 8, we would probably be able to do slightly more reading with this. So this is what you would use for things like newspapers and magazines. Obviously, then the Explore 5 is what you would use for those smaller bits of reading. So if there's a puzzle or a word search that you'd like to do, that would also be great to obviously use the Explore 8 for. So now I'll just demonstrate it as I go along. So as I move this around the document, as you can see, we then have an increase in magnification. So some of you might be thinking, obviously, one of the key difficulties in doing this, moving this around the document as opposed to moving the document, is you may get lost from the end of one sentence to the beginning of the next. So what we do have on here is we have something called lines and blinds. Okay, so I'll just demonstrate that for you so you see what it can do. So what we now have is a line that's appeared underneath the text. Now this means I can now finish from the end of one sentence and begin the next sentence without getting lost on the document as to where I am. I'm going to stop for a second and ask if anyone has any questions so far. If you do, please just unmute yourself and fire away.
Hi, so is it battery operated only, or is it electric only?
So it's battery operated, but the batteries inside are rechargeable. So just as we recharge our phones, it's exactly the same principle. There is a port just here, and it's a USB-C cable that goes in here. The
Right.
battery charge on the Explore 5 and 8 is amazing. So for me personally, it's lasted me up to 3 days. But of course, that's not with constant use. I would say with constant use, it should get you through the whole day, and for you to charge it at night and use it the next day. But like I said, that again, that's constant use. I don't think we'd be using it constantly.
Word search thing.
Yeah.
Does that mean there's like a stand you can write behind in the boxes?
Oh, okay. So I've got a client with me, and she's asking, when you said about the 8-inch, you said you could use it on word searches. She said, does that mean that you can write under it to fill in the boxes? You
So
understand?
you wouldn't, yeah, I understand. You wouldn't be able to write underneath it. So it would be a case of obviously moving it aside and then completing the word search. But there is something else that we do have that we can do that on. That's more so what we can do on the Reveal 16.
Okay.
So with a word search, for example, if this was my word search underneath the Explore 8, obviously it would be a case of, for example, reading the question, okay, then referring back to the word search just to see where we need to provide our answers, and then just moving it aside and completing it. Obviously, I'm aware that, you know, that's probably not the most convenient thing, but it is still possible. But like I mentioned earlier, this is the ideal scenario where you would use this is for the slightly less than a book, but more than a like a ingredient. So that bit of reading, maybe like a magazine or a leaflet that you get through the post, or even letters that you get in the post that you can't read yourselves anymore. That's what this is ideal for.
Okay. And how much are we looking at for both of those?
So the price of the Explore 5 is £399, and the price of the Explore 8 is £699.
Okay, thank you. And have you got the R16 there to demonstrate today, or can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the R16 is here, and I will be demonstrating that as soon as I've demonstrated this and one other product. I'll demonstrate that as well for you.
Thank you, Sophia.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'll continue. The other really good example of using this is, obviously, I know nobody's going on holiday at the moment, sadly, but eventually when we are allowed to go back to, on holidays, just menus in your local cafes, just being able to go in and just read a menu on your own, for example. So that's another thing this is great for. And obviously it still is quite portable. Obviously the Explore 5 is slightly more portable. However, this is still portable as well. So it does also come with a pouch, and it's small enough to fit in a handbag, or just a general carrier bag, or a bag for life that you may carry around with you. So that's the benefits of both. Obviously the portability and the fact that it's got amazing clarity on the screen. It's simple and easy to use. And yeah, so what I'll do then is I will stop with the electronic magnifiers, and I'll move on to our slightly larger products. Whilst I'm just bringing everything up onto in front of the camera, if anyone else has any questions, please just fire away. Okay, so the next product that I'm bringing up in front of you is the iPal Solo. So this is our text-to-speech reading machine. I'm just going to plug it in and then just turn it on. Okay, brilliant. Okay, I'm just going to adjust the camera slightly just so you can see exactly what I'm doing on here. Bear with me. Okay. I've accidentally just turned that off. Okay, so this is the iPal Solo, like I mentioned, is our text-to-speech reading machine. So with this product, there is no magnification involved, and you'll see how it works. So the size, I would describe this as the size of an A4 sheet. It's quite lightweight. It's not very heavy, but this isn't something portable. Now, this is something that you would have in one area of your home where it's easy for you to get to, where obviously there's no hazards of wires, because this does need to be connected to the mains, okay? So the surface area for where we place our documents is the size of an A4 sheet. And then we have a little tower going up. So it's actually a camera up there. I'm just going to adjust this for a second. So up here, what we have is we have a camera. Now, the idea is we place our documents on the surface area of the iPal Solo. And the camera that I've just shown you, that captures an image of the text on the document, and then it will then proceed to read the text aloud for us. So this is particularly great for, I gave you this example earlier, for letters that you get in the post. I know obviously, you know, some people have to wait for their neighbor to come and read them, or wait for a friend or a family member. And you may just want to have that independence and even privacy of being able to read your own post. It's not just good for post, it's also great for things like books. Now, with a book, you would just have to make sure that the spine of the book is reasonably flat, just so the camera can capture an image of the whole page. The machine will only read what the camera picks up, okay? So just like the handheld magnifiers, what we aim to design our products in the most simple fashion. So this is, again, very, very simple and easy to use. So there's 3 key functions on here that you would use the majority of the time. So on the right hand side, we have a small green square button, okay, and that's our on off button. If I move along to the left, we have an arrow up and an arrow down button. Now this is to increase the speed of reading and decrease the speed of reading. Moving along further to the left, we have a circular volume button, and that's obviously just to increase the volume and decrease as we go. And then we also have a yellow button. So yellow button, so they're quite tactile buttons as well. That's to pause and to play the document. So if you get a knock on the door, or you'd like to make yourself a cup of tea in between, you could always pause the document and come back and have it continue reading for you. So what I'll do now is I'll demonstrate how this is used. So I'm just going to turn the volume up on this. I'm going to turn it up quite loud so you can hopefully hear it. So this is the document that I'm going to place underneath with this text on. Now, if we were to imagine this is a letter that we've received in the post, we'd place the document underneath the live camera.
Please place your document.
Okay. As soon as I place the document, you'll hear the machine capture an image. As soon as it captures the image, it will then start reading aloud to us. So I won't speak whilst it's doing that. So I'll start doing that now.
Explore 5 and 8. W. Powerful handheld magnifiers that will show you the world. Willitonex Wasifavia Tosa. QZ. It's A9 West Isle Witty 1 Tech. KAI to N11. Those 6 and way. The.
Okay, so what she's doing is she's actually reading
Please place your document.
the text that is on this image here. Okay, so I'm going to speed her up a little bit just to make sure that we can get to the main paragraph.
Explore 5 and 8. 474. N01. Toss percent better. Nectar VANRAEEEN GSN NT was TD10 The ultra-portable Explore 5 and 8 are designed for active people with low vision who wish to have an electronic handheld magnifier with them wherever they go. Perfect for reading the menu in the caf, checking ingredients and prices when shopping and reading travel information when you are out and about. The Explores are versatile, small, smart and easy to use. There is an Explore suitable.
Okay, and that's exactly how we would read our documents on the iPad Solo. So
Please place your document.
where we heard her speaking a little bit fast is where she was reading the text that's actually on the image on the document. So the idea is, obviously, if I now take the document off, she will stop reading. However, if we have a gust of wind that comes in through the window and our document falls off, we don't have to keep on referring back to taking the image. We can just press on the pause
For anyone looking for more than an optical magnifier,
and she will continue reading for us.
Interest-free credit now available. Humanware.
And I'll now stop that again.
Bottom of text. Humanware.
So once you get to the bottom of the text, she does let you know. So she lets you know you're at the bottom of the text. If for any reason we place down a side that is blank with no text, she will say, no text has been detected. So the instructions that the machine gives you are quite handy and they're quite useful. Obviously, especially with a visual impairment, sometimes you might not be able to tell which side has the text or which side has an image, for example. Okay, so I'm going to stop for a second and allow any questions if anybody has any. If you just unmute yourselves.
Sorry,
Ask
Sophia.
how much this one is, please.
Sure, so this is £1,595.
Sophia, can we change him to a man?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
That's all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So all of our products do also come with a 2-year guarantee. From the beginning of COVID, we've also stopped charging any delivery charges to our private customers as well. And there is an increased money back guarantee. Prior to COVID, we had a 30-day money back guarantee, but we've now increased that to 40 days. So as an example, if you were to have one of these products and receive it and a week later decide, okay, this isn't for me, on returning the product, there would be no loss on delivery charges or anything like that. So a lot of our customers have been making use of that feature. Okay, so that's the iPal Solo. Like I said, it is quite straightforward, simple and easy to use. So I don't want to go into too much depth because I don't want to confuse anybody. It's as simple as that. We just place our document on top of the iPad Solo. The camera takes a picture for us and it reads it aloud. It's ideal for letters, books, just bits of reading that you haven't been able to do yourselves independently, and it's just like a helping hand. So what I'll do then is I'll take this off and we'll move on to the Reveal 16. Okay, so this is the Reveal 16. And this is our desktop magnifier. So we have two versions. We have the R16, the Reveal 16, and then we also have the Reveal 16i, and the I stands for intelligence. So when it's folded down, it looks like this. Okay, the screen is actually underneath here. So to lift the screen up, all we need to do is place one hand on here and then just lift up the screen. Now, similar to our other products, the numbers always refer to the size of the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust this camera slightly just to ensure you can see the whole screen. Perfect. Okay, so we have a 16-inch screen, and then we also have quite a large surface area underneath. Now, this is where we would place our documents. So let's say now, for example, a newspaper, or like we talked about earlier, a word search, pictures that we haven't seen in a few years that we'd like to be able to look at, drawings, writing a letter to an old friend. So what I'll do is I'll place a document underneath just to give you an idea. So what we do is we place our documents underneath the live camera. And then at the front, we have a couple of buttons. So I'll just bring this down. So we have a large orange center dial. Now this magnifies up to 45 times, okay? And the idea is obviously similar to our other products, we would get it to a size of magnification that we're comfortable to read at. On the right-hand side to the large center dial is our contrast button. So both of them are just rotating buttons. So I'm going to change my contrast to white on black. And then on the left-hand side, we have an autofocus button. So I'll talk about that in a second. So the idea is for us to place our document underneath. And I can now see most of the page. Start at the top of the document and then magnify into it as much as we need to. So I'll magnify quite a lot just so we can see that on the camera. And now what we need to do is just move the document along as we're reading, okay? So we would just move the document from left to right as we're reading. And this is just a one leaflet document. So we would do the same thing with a book, a magazine, a newspaper article, and we would just move it along. Obviously, you don't have to have this contrast. So there is a range of contrasts for us to choose from. So we have a contrast of black on yellow, yellow on black. We can leave it at the original color contrast. So the benefit of leaving it on the color contrast is if we wanted to look at a picture, for example, so if we brought the photo album out and we wanted to see an old photograph, we can also view that under here. And now I know the screen clarity is not too great. There is some glare coming in from the outside. I do apologize. But I hope you can see the picture on the screen. And there we go. I think the sun's gone a little bit down. So now the other thing this is great for is writing letters. So some people obviously do other things. So maybe knitting, because if I just show you now, if I just magnify out, if I was writing a letter on this document, I would be able to see what I'm writing. So I'd be able to see my handwriting in a larger font. And that's also what it's great for. Now the surface area underneath, this allows us to have larger pieces of text. Obviously larger newspapers, for example, we would just have to ensure that we're moving the document underneath the camera, okay? Because obviously we can't move the camera, we would have to move the document underneath. Now, some of you may have had the older desktop magnifiers. They used to be called the CCTVs. Now they used to come with a moving XY table underneath. So that would mean you don't have to move the document itself. So that option is an optional extra that you can purchase with the Reveal 16 as well, in case anyone was wondering. So we have the live magnifier, and we have obviously the option to place our document underneath it and then magnify in up to 45 times. So the other great thing about this is we do have a distance camera at the back, okay? So the distance camera is obviously the live magnifier. So the distance camera is good for things like if the grandchildren come around, if you'd like to, if you have any arts and crafts workshops or anything like that that you attend, I'll just bring the camera out and just show you. So the distance camera can also be pointed towards the television. Some people do use it for that purpose. So if I now, I've just pointed this at the door. If I now magnify in, this will then zoom in and allow me to sit in the comfort of my chair or on the sofa and then magnify in. So I don't have to go right up close to the television if I can't see the television as I used to. So obviously this functionality is not the main benefit of having the Reveal 16, but it's just something that we've added in extra, excuse me, just to allow people to be able to do some distance viewing if they needed to. So I'll just fold this back in. So it's just a simple case of just folding it out and folding it back in. So this magnifier in itself it's not the lightest piece of equipment. So we do recommend just placing this in one area of the home. The fact that it does obviously fold in, that allows us to move it around. Okay, so if, for example, you were going to stay, you were taking it away with you somewhere, going to stay at someone's house, going to stay with one of your children, or maybe on a local trip in the UK, you could take this with you. But it's not something that we recommend moving around the house a couple of times a day. It's not light, it's not very, very heavy, but it is something that you would feel whilst carrying. And that is the Reveal 16. So I'll stop there and I'll just stop and let anyone ask any questions and then move on. Just having a look at the time. Does anyone have any questions about the Reveal 16?
Yeah, would that one be any good for looking at plans? We've got an architect who really is after something that he can look at designs and plans.
Definitely.
And print.
Definitely, because I'm assuming it's not just text, it's obviously drawings that he needs to view. So yeah, definitely.
Great, thank you.
Any other
yes.
questions?
How much is that one?
So the price of this one is £1,995.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so what I'll do now is
Sorry, how much was that one again, please? Sorry.
So it's £1,995.
Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. So I'll move on to the Reveal 16i now. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, the I stands for intelligence. So this version works slightly different to what I've already shown you today. It is on the same machine, okay? So if you purchase the Reveal 16i, you also get the Reveal 16, which is integrated into it. If you purchase the Reveal 16 on its own, it won't have this button here, which is a button which has 2 arrows on it, which will take us to the intelligent version of our software. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press on the button to take us to somewhere called Prodigy. So Prodigy is just the name of Humanware software. So it's our own software that we use on here. And I'm not going to talk about what the software does. I'll show you what it does because I don't want to confuse anybody. So When you turn the Reveal 16i on, as opposed to seeing a screen which requires us to put our camera, to place our document underneath, what we now have is we now have a screen that has a touch screen capability, okay? And the first screen that you see has a couple of icons on there. So I'm just going to just turn this up slightly. Here we go. So the first screen that we see is camera. So like I mentioned, it is a touch screen. So if I now tap on camera, we now have this screen in front of us. So there's a gap in the middle, and on the right-hand side, it tells us place your page. On the left-hand side, we have a couple of icons. So the idea is we now place our document in the center of this screen. Okay. So once we're happy with the placement, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just need to ensure that the text that we want to read is all incorporated into the center of this screen here. Once we place our document, we now have to tap on the camera icon, which is on the left-hand side. So if I now tap on the camera icon, it will take a picture for us. So it's now taking a picture, and we'll see a red locator appear on the screen. What it's now doing is it's now preparing this picture for us. And when I say preparing the picture for us, it has something called diamond edge. Again, that's part of the software. And that just means all of the text that we're capturing is being turned into computerized text. And that's just so when we're magnifying in, we can get some clarity and consistency whilst we're reading. So the idea now is to be able to see the whole page. The benefit of being able to see the whole page at this point is it may be, for example, a hospital letter. Now, if this was a hospital letter, we all know on the right-hand side, top right-hand side of hospital letters, we have our NHS numbers. We have a lot of numbers that we don't really need to read. So the text actually starts from the middle of the page. That's the benefit of being able to see the whole page in front of us in this format. If I wanted to, I could start reading from the middle of the page. Now, how I would start reading is as simple and easy as just pointing to the area of the text that I'd like to start reading. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. Bear in mind, again, this is a touch screen, okay? So I'll now point to the area of the text that I want to start reading. And once I've pointed, what happens is that text, do apologize, that text is now in an auto scroll format coming down the screen for us, okay? So all of the text on that document has been wrapped. We're not missing any text. It is now auto scrolling down the screen for us to read in this format. So you may be asking, but what if this is still too small for me to read? That orange center dial that we talked about earlier, all we need to do now is use this orange center dial and turn it clockwise, and that text will now increase in magnification for us. And that's the largest, and if that's too big, we can decrease the size to a comfortable magnification. So it does move down the screen for us. However, if it's too fast, or if you prefer it not to move, we can just place our finger on the screen and just manually do it ourselves. All I'm doing is just swiping my finger up, and the text is moving as well. If we've missed a slight bit of text, we can also go back. So what I've done there, what I've done there is I've just stopped the text from moving. And if I wanted it to start again, start moving for me again down the page, I would just do the same gesture. And I'm just placing one finger on the screen lightly. Okay. So again, obviously we do have the functionality to increase the speed of the text and how fast it's moving along the page. So if you imagine turning the pages of a book really quickly, we go from right to left. So that's exactly what I'm doing on the screen. I'm just going right to left, and the text speed is increasing. If I do the opposite, so left to right, that will then slow down for us. So obviously with the son, with having a visual impairment, we understand that sometimes you may not want to read, sometimes you may just want to listen. Okay, so for those days, if you have a migraine, or if your eyes it's been a bright day and your eyes are hurting, we do have the functionality to have this read. So if I just go back up to the beginning of the text, bear with me. All I need to do to have this read to me is tap on the screen with one finger twice.
Be smart, be connected. Simple to use, enjoy reading again. Video chat with your family and friends using your favorite applications. Check your emails, watch your shows on YouTube, listen to your favorite podcasts on Play Music. All these activities are made easy.
I'm just going to turn this off, just with the same gesture, which is one finger and 2 taps. We would then turn the speech off. Okay. On the right hand side, we do have a headphone jack. So if you wanted to plug in headphones, you could as well. So now the idea is, of course, like I mentioned earlier, to take a picture of the text that we'd like to read. So if, say, for example, this was something that you wanted to refer back to, so you didn't want to read all of it in the same day, and you'd like to go back and read it another day, there is a functionality to be able to do that. So if I now just go back to the beginning and just take a picture again, after we've taken our picture, we have the option to save this image. Okay, so I'll just wait for the picture to be ready. If I now have a look at the bottom, again, we have a little button banner that appears. So we have our back button, a button to take us to our settings, and then we have a little floppy disk. And this is what we tap to save our image. And it says on the screen for us, saving. Now, if I just go back all the way to the beginning, to the first screen that we saw. So the camera is the main screen that we would use on here, but we also have gallery on the right-hand side. So just as we take pictures on our phones and those pictures are saved into our gallery, is the same principle here. So if I now go into my gallery, there is the image that we've just been reading and we want to refer to at some stage in the future. So all of the images that you take a picture of can potentially be saved on here. You don't have to save them, but if you wanted to, so if it's a chapter of a book, as an example, that would be something obviously that you'd like to save, because you might want to refer to 2 or 3 pages a day, and that's where they would be saved in your gallery for you to be able to access at ease at a later stage. So if I just now go back one more step, actually, just before I do that, I just want to quickly show you. So once we've saved our documents in the gallery, there is an option to remove them from there if we no longer need them, or if we've taken an incorrect image of something. And how we do that is we just use one finger and place that down on the image in the gallery, and we then get an action menu. And what this allows us to do is things like share this, or delete this, or rename it. So if I want to delete, I would just tap on delete and then yes, and that's now gone from our gallery. I'm just going to stop there for a second, just to ask if anyone has any questions, because I know I'm going through quite a bit here.
Yeah, the price of this one, please.
So the price of this one is £2,395.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so if I just go back to the beginning again and tap on camera. So let's say, for example, we did want to take a picture of 6 or 7 pages of a book. At this point, we don't want to be taking individual pictures, because what will happen is those individual pictures will then be saved individually in our gallery, which means we'll then have to be looking for page 1, page 4, page 5. So what we would do at this stage is we would just tap on the third icon down. And what that does is that then tells the Reveal 16i that we're now going to be taking several pictures. And the benefit of this is it will then save together in the gallery. So I'll just take 2 to 3 pictures quickly and show you what I mean. So we're saving page 1. And then it's taking slightly longer to save. So saving page 2. And then I'll do one more and I'll show you what it looks like in the gallery. So now saving page 3. So of course, I've just taken a picture of the same image, but if we're thinking about a book and different pages of a book or even a booklet. So I've come out and I'll now go into my gallery. And what it's done is it's saved it into a little folder, which means we're now not having to go through our gallery and look for each individual page and potentially get lost as to, where it starts and where it ends. So that's the main capabilities of this. Our settings on here allow us to change some of the colors. So if I go to interface, we can change the colors from black on white to white on black. Again, it's just what you prefer, what your eyes prefer. So there's a couple of things that we can do in the settings, but I just want to show you, keeping an eye on the time. Just want to show you quickly one added feature that is great, especially in the times that we're living in at the moment. So aside from being able to read your documents on the screen in that column format and have the document spoken out to you in that format, we can connect to the internet on here. So if I just place 5 fingers on the screen, this has full Android capabilities. So the reality is what that actually means is we can join things like Zoom calls, Teams calls. We can do a Google search on here. We can have some apps on here. So some of you may have iPads or tablets at home that you use, several different apps on. We can have apps on here. We can also access our emails from here on Gmail, or we could just search the net for Hotmail and BT internet emails and things like that. So obviously on this side of the Reveal 16i, we don't have the magnification capabilities that we have in our software. However, it is an added benefit to having this machine, being able to connect to the internet. And one of the best benefits of having the internet on here is there is the functionality to find the book that you want to read on the internet and convert that into our software to be able to read it in the format that we were reading in previously. So that's obviously something that we would go through, you would go through our support team with over the phone. That's not something that you would expect to be to know as soon as you get this, but that would be a great way to be able to use this, to have books converted from the internet into that format where you can then read them and
sorry
have them.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do the icons and things on the screen, have they got speech like the touching a phone?
So the icons don't have speech because this is purely an Android platform, so we don't really get say in what these can do. So although they don't have speech, there is magnification gestures that Android have on their side. Okay, so their magnification gestures are, if you use one finger and you tap 3 times, okay, bear with me, just go back.
Because I wouldn't be able to find any of the icons or anything on the screen.
So yeah, so if you tap 3 times with one finger and then move around the screen with 2 fingers, it does allow you to zoom in and find the applications. Of course, it's not as good as our software in what you can do in Prodigy. Obviously, if it was up to us, you know, we would have that functionality on here, but unfortunately Android are a third party and we don't really have a say. But we're hoping in the future, you know, that will be possible. That's all.
Yeah.
All we
Okay.
can
Thank you.
do. You're welcome. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop there and just allow some time for any questions that anyone might have. Please fire away if
I mean,
anyone
here's
does
the
have
thing.
any.
I mean, Sophia, at the moment, are you currently able to visit people at home if they require this, or require further demonstrations?
So at the moment, we're not doing face-to-face demonstrations at the moment, but we are looking to review this in mid-May, in line with obviously government advice. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, towards the end of May, we should be able to resume face-to-face demonstrations, but that isn't 100% confirmed as of yet.
And I think the same thing for here at Open Site is that, you know, we have an equipment centre here. We do have some of, you know, the equipment that Sophia has shown us today. We have here, so we are hoping as of mid-May to, you know, to be able to invite people in. The other thing as well that I should have mentioned at the beginning of this session is this video. This session has actually been recorded. So after today's event, it will be sent as a YouTube link to everybody who attended, and it will also go onto our website as well if you need to refer back to it at a later time. So
thank you, Pam. Thank you to everyone for joining. If there's any other information that you need, any questions that you think of later, if you just pass them on to Pam, I'm happy to answer them at a later stage.
no, okay.
Actually, I've got one question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
With regards to where you can take photographs of several pages and then put it into one folder, can you rename the folder?
Yeah, you can. Let me just quickly show you. So place the finger over the folder, and 1, 2, 3, the 4th option down allows you to rename the document. The document is named under the first word that the camera sees.
Brilliant, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, then we've got any further questions that I'd like to ask Sophia or myself before we wrap it up for today? But no, certainly that's been a really really interesting insight, Sophia. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Very hopeful that later on in this year we will be able to restart our equipment and information days, which obviously will all be very welcome to attend once we get them going. But just to say, yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you to everybody who joined us today. Thank you to Sophia. And hopefully we'll see each other, hopefully maybe in person, very, very soon.
Hopefully. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pam.